because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours if we wanted to. We don't want that to happen.
And just yesterday, a profanity-laced warning from the president on Truth Social. Quote, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the blank straight, you crazy blank, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch, end quote. Joining us now to discuss all of this is retired Naval Intelligence Commander Dr. Paul Chabot. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Great to be with you all.
I want to start with that quote that we just read from President Trump on Truth Social. Some pretty strong language used, signifying that he means business. What's your take on that?
Yeah, look, for Easter Sunday, I think a lot of us didn't quite appreciate the tone, but hopefully from the Iranian perspective, they understand that they're dealing with a president that is very direct and upfront, and occasionally uses some pretty foul language to get his message across. Personally, I would have rather have had no foul language in there, but nonetheless, the message has been delivered, and here we are onto another day full of news with a White House press conference and then a deadline looming tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Pretty critical, as well as gas prices are rising.
When you're talking about going after power plants and bridges in Iran, that kind of strategy, what does that do if it does in fact happen, if the president keeps his promises?
Certainly. So I think they're looking primarily at the power plants and bridges, and they're going to tie that into really the National Guard, if you will, which is the power arm militarily from Iran. And what we will likely say is that that helps fuel the adversary for travel across the country, if you will, or using the energy resources as well to keep their military intact. Look, when you decimate energy as well as bridges, that is long-term destruction. So I think that there's also a play into more of the moderates in the Iranian regime. We know their president, not their Ayatollah, but their president is much more open to discussions with the United States. And we are using nations like Pakistan, Turkey, and Egypt to deliver these messages back and forth. It's difficult to have the full intel perspective, but there is absolutely a lot going on with that deadline looming in about 25 hours or less.
And when you talk about that intel, what we do know, from your experience and your history, what goes into preparing for a mission like this? It seems absolutely massive.
So our military is just amazing. I've retired. I've been gone now for a few years. But first off, immense pride on how our military service members and women performed over the weekend. The operation that we just heard unfold today through the White House. And remember, the White House was not just the president speaking. You had the director of the CIA, the Secretary of War, and the chairman for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. What's critical is tomorrow morning, they're going to do another brief, which will be a deeper dive on all the processes. A lot more intel will probably be unraveled tomorrow for the American people to truly understand the dynamics that went behind this. I think one day this will probably be made out of a movie. You had two huge planes that were landed basically in Iran, which were incapable of leaving again, largely because of wet sand. We blew those up. We had contingency operations in place, not only to get out the second airman, but all the special operation forces that were there to rescue him without a single casualty is absolutely remarkable, and hats off to the men and women who planned these operations.
And I do want to talk about the rescue of that fighter pilot that was rescued yesterday after 48 hours on his own in the mountains of Iran. But first, going back to that press conference today, are you surprised that all the amount of information that's being released in such real time almost from not only the president, but of course the CIA and Pete Hegseth today?
I was watching that with interest because obviously there's a lot of tactics and operation that goes on behind our special operation forces on the joint side, not just Air Force, but all branches working together. This is the most dangerous operation in all of war, and that is rescuing service members behind enemy lines. But the Operation Special Tactics train for this, but also those pilots, those crew that are on these air missions go through about 2 to 3 weeks of what are called SEER training: survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. And that is credit to how not only the first officer was rescued, but the second weapons officer that was gone for almost 48 hours, hiked up about 7,000 feet with injuries, and was able to be pinpointed, relocated, and moved out of Iran with all the equipment that we brought in, with the exception of the planes, because we couldn't bring them back. So we blew those up, and now our American service members are back home on ground and getting the care that they need.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing, that airman treating his own injuries after making that incredible climb, hiding out for some 48 hours until he was rescued. I want to talk a little bit about the tactics used. I guess I understand that part of it was sort of bait and switch, the Iranian people that were looking for this service member, which I find fascinating. You talk right out of a movie. This seems it.
It is, and you heard the CIA today speak a little bit about the deception tactics, where they were leading the Iranians to believe that they had already retrieved our airmen in one area. So they were doing a lot of deception and tactics throughout that part of where our current service member was in the area, and it worked tremendously well. So not only do you have the military actively engaged, but you have the CIA actively engaged. And what I also heard earlier today was we had Reaper drones, which were up in the sky. Those were in Iraq when I was in Iraq almost 15 years ago. So not only manned aircraft and men on the ground, but also our reconnaissance and surveillance and other types of equipment that largely the CIA, our Joint Special Operations, Air Force, and others utilize, not only to pinpoint targets, but as we found here, to rescue.
Thank you so much for your commentary and your service, of course. We're happy that airman is back safe tonight. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.